So this video is day one of our Team Series Tournament Trail Championship, and stick around because you'll get to see some techniques, you'll get to see some references to some videos I've done before on how to be successful, how to catch some fish. Practice was dynamite with 20+ pound bags, 21, 22 pound bags we were catching, so it was really fishing phenomenally. And then when tournament time came around, of course, all that practice pressure, and then a weather change came in with east winds and high skies that made things a little bit difficult and forced us to have to adjust. So you'll learn some things about some of the adjustments we'll talk about in there. And we've ended up finishing 16th out of 60, but literally we're 2 pounds away from the win. So we did well in the tournament, and it starts on day one, so let's get at it. So tournament fishing with your son is fun. It's a challenge. Fishing in a tournament series that's got 3 divisions is going to pull in a lot of great anglers from different areas of the state in our area, the Midwest. There are some Elite Series pros that fish our tournament series, so it's a serious challenge to finish at the top of this circuit. And it's, anybody that fishes a championship, it's fun. The adrenaline's up, and you've practiced, you've done well, you've got a game plan, and now you want to go out and execute it on the day. It's just an exciting thing. If you're a tournament fisherman at all, you know exactly what I mean. The lineup, the takeoff, the anticipation, it's part of the reason we do this. And so that's how we felt. We felt confident. We had a good game plan. We were catching 20-pound sacks in practice, and we had a great game plan going in, and we had multiple areas, and we had some backups, and so we felt very prepared for the tournament. So we get out to our first spot, and fish 1 is on a big topwater bait. So I'm using a super spook, and I've got a video on how to supercharge your super spook, and it was a key to catching some of these fish. And in practice, we annihilated them with this bait, and it was just absolutely phenomenal. It was an experience I hadn't had before. I had heard people before, oh, use a big spook, and it just never registered for me. And I put it on for a day of practice, just committed to it because it was fall and fish were feeding up, was the thought, and man, were they in practice. And so I really shellacked them, caught some huge sacks, some big fish, just pretty amazing. So spot 1 in the morning, we're out there with that big topwater bait in a productive location where fish were feeding on bait fish, and got the first nice fish. So fish 2, same pattern, different spot, fish feeding on bait fish. Located the bait fish, didn't see the fish themselves, but located the bait fish, and we were pulling a big spook over the top. This time Alex came to the rescue. If you team fish, your partner's such a huge part of any success that you're going to have, and any good fish that your partner could get in the boat is bonus. Alex is that magical, back deck fisherman that always seems to find a way to catch a good fish. So here he is, fish number 2. He gets it on his super spook, which was a carbon copy of mine, and you'll notice on his retrieve that he had a pretty good pause there. So everything from practice was starting to slow down. That high pressure, the east winds, all of the pre-fishing pressure that had hit the water too as well, because some of these spots multiple boats had already hit, and so that pause was critical to him getting that bite, and it was a key fish number 2. Now we're feeling good, right? We got our second one in, the pattern's kind of holding together, although things have slowed down, and pretty soon we're going to need to make some adjustments. But fish 2, good fish, same pattern, we're feeling good about life. So now fish 3, we had to move locations, right? The lake bait fish thing was just kind of falling apart. The sun was coming up a little bit higher, and that thing just kind of went away. So what we did is we found some areas that had, shallow weeds along a shoreline, and we were just kind of working the outside edge of those weeds. I was using the same bait here. I was using the big super spook and throwing it up to the weed edge, and then just, working it outside the weed edge, and bam, I got a big largemouth, and that helped us. So now we're fish number 3's in the boat, pretty good 3+ pound largemouth, to go along with those, you know, a couple of smallmouth that were pushing, you know, 3.5 pounds. So we had a pretty good start, and so felt good about this. Different species, but same technique, different area, made that adjustment to get towards the shallow weeds now that the sun was coming up, and got fish number 3 in the boat. So now fish number 4, we had to, you know, now the topwater bite's dead, and we had to make some adjustments, and you know, I was continuing to try to force it, but Alex switched up and he threw on a tube with a rattle, and we've got a video on that tube with the rattle. I'll put a link in the description below. It is deadly in and around weeds. It's something you can use in place of a jig when you're in places with a lot of people fishing jigs. Fish don't see tubes anymore. They don't see 4.5-inch flipping tubes. They certainly don't see a tube with the rattle in it hardly anymore. So it's a great Texas rig flipping bait. Alex pulled it out and pulled in a key largemouth. Now we're fish number 4, and we're 1 fish away from feeling great on day 1, right? Because the goal is to get to the magic limit and then feel good about maybe next steps to cull up. So here's fish number 4, Texas rig tube with the rattle in it, money from Alex. So fish 5, we revisited a weed line we had previously fished. We caught a good largemouth on it on a topwater bait, and we had another blow up on it. We weren't sure whether that was a northern or a short striking bass or something, so we ran down that weed line again, and while Alex was probing it with the tube, I got to a back corner where there was kind of a way back kind of a cut behind the weeds and way back towards shore, and I just lobbed a cast in there. It was one of those sneaking suspicion, like, hey man, maybe there's one hanging out way back there. You know, calm water, sun was in there, sunning himself, fall, you know, so I thought, well, what the heck? So I lobbed one in there, and literally 1 pop, bam, got another largemouth, got our 5th fish in the boat, and now we're feeling, you know, anybody who tournament fishes feels that 5th fish come over you, you're excited, you're like, okay, we got a limit, let's go, you know, and now we can start to hunt. So 5th fish in the boat, feeling good about life. Alex again in the back of the boat, as always thinking, and we were in that same weed edge area where we had caught a couple of previous fish in practice, and one here in the tournament. He had caught one on a tube earlier with that rattle in it. Now the sun was up a little higher. The tube, that dark tube, works in that dark water when lower light conditions, cloudy conditions, seems to work the best. So we put on a wacky rigged Senko, 5-inch Senko, green pumpkin black flake with a little bit of orange dye in the tip. He had a silicone band on it, wacky rigged it, threw it in there, and caught fish number 6. We ended up culling a little bit. So now we're headed in the right direction. We're actually culling up. So number 6 fish. So now we're fishing comfortably. We've got, you know, we had 6 keepers. We're culling. And now we get back, it's getting a little bit later in the afternoon. I go back to the top water. I'm fishing on a small point, and I get a 4-pound bite. And this fish, and I get him, you know, I could feel right away it was a good fish. I moved back towards him with the trolling motor a bit, and then came back, fought him a little bit. He jumped, and somehow he spit the hooks on that thing. And that was kind of a devastating, that was the kicker right there. He was 4+ pounds. You know, that fish is going to give us 18 pounds weighing in. So it was a little bit of a letdown there. We had spun around and worked down the bank, and then an interesting thing happened here where I continued on that top water because I just got that 4-pound bite, so I was going to continue to work that. And again, that good partner in the back of the boat, Alex, made a key adjustment that was going to play in day 2. He switched to a jerk bait, and while they were kind of short striking that topwater bait, they would eat that jerk bait on the pause. Alex got a key 3.5 pound, 3 pound anyways, cull fish for fish number 7. Turned out to be key for us. We ended up weighing in 15.6 pounds on day 1, which put us in, man, I believe we were, you know, in the top 15 for sure on day 1. So that put us in a real good position going into day 2, but it gave us some information, right? We were Topwater heavy because practice was so good with topwater. We caught 3 good fish, 4 fish with the topwater during the day, but you could see the bright bluebird, east wind, sunny skies, and things were shifting, things were changing. And Alex got on something key that made us think for sure, so we could plan for day 2. So coming back in, like I said, this reservoir, I said in the beginning, was 19,000 acres and a lot of different ways to get to different places. And there was some shallow, narrow bridges that some bigger boats had to go around that we were able to kind of maneuver our way through in our Crestliner Fishhawk boat. It's aluminum. So we were able to trim up, use the powerful trolling motor and push pole to make sure we didn't hit any rocks on the way through and kind of slog our way through some shallow water openings. But there's definitely some adventures out there in bass fishing, getting to and from places safely. But yeah, it was, we had our own little shallow water adventures. Getting to and from spots can make for some fun memories as well. So that was a great day 1. Things changed from practice, which they generally always do, so you got to be ready to prepare. And through the course of the day, we felt things changing and made some key thoughts and adjustments to get that last cull fish. Things might have been better had we landed that keeper and not lost it. We would have been right in the probably top 3 with 18-ish pounds because it was a pretty substantial upgrade. As it was, weighed in 15.6 and was in good position to finish well on day 2. So great first day. In the next video, we'll talk about how things went on day 2 and played out, and some decisions that we made to swing for the fences to try to win this thing. Thanks for tuning in. I hope some tips and some of the experiences here were helpful for you. Please like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time on the water.